Hello, everyone. Welcome to DCM, Doritos Connections, and Mountain Dew, your favorite local video game talk show. I am your host, Howard.
I'm your co-host, David.
And I'm special guest.
Gaist?
Gaist. Jake.
And we are back with more discussions with Jake. He has brought some news that literally me and Dave know very little about.
It has no impact whatsoever.
But however, this is important.
Not necessarily news. They did announce about a couple weeks ago a new Tom Clancy themed first-person shooter called Tom Clancy's X Defiance, like XD Defiance. And it's a 6-on-6 kind of hero shooter / Call of Duty knockoff. It has like down sights and all that stuff like COD, but you have characters that you can play as with different abilities. So it's kind of like Overwatch. And it's just the weirdest thing because it's called Tom Clancy, but it has nothing to do with Tom Clancy or any of the characters from anything. It's not like... say you're going to run around and play as Sam Fisher or some nameless guy from The Division, even though there's no characters in that. Mm-hmm. But like, it's literally just a military-ish shooter with like punk rock elements of like neon green and pink everywhere. It kind of looks like Rage. It looks like Rage 2, like that. The way the marketing for that game looked, it looks like that. So it looks like nothing like a Tom Clancy game with the name on it, and it's just a generic shooter. And, you know, this isn't like the only example of it, but people are starting to get a little annoyed that they're not making good single-player Tom Clancy games. Splinter Cell, especially, that's like the big one. Mm-hmm. And this kind of goes along with that, where it's not even attempting to be a part of what the brand name used to be. Because the old games used to be kind of like simulators in a way, and that was sort of the idea. Like, he wanted to make games that were kind of like... were still really fun action games, but they were a little bit more realistic than, say, Medal of Honor or Doom or something. And I'm not going to be like a boomer and complain that, you know, new stuff is bad because it's new. Obviously, the markets change. The audiences change. You have to kind of change what your games are over time a little bit. So I don't mind that they want to go in a more action Hollywood kind of direction for all their new games, like Rainbow Six Siege and all that. But, you know, it feels like most of the personality and what made those old games special has been taken away. And now that they're not even making new ones, like, say, like a new Splinter Cell, it just, you know, it kind of sucks.
Also, isn't Tom Clancy dead?
Yes. He's been dead since, like, 2015, 2014.
And they still have a brand that has his name revolving around it?
And none of the games have anything to do with his books. Like, none of them.
And they're just using it because they know it'll make money.
Rainbow Six was the... Well, actually, yeah, Rainbow Six is the only game that was based off a book.
Yeah.
He helped with Ghost Recon, like the early ones. Like, he created the whole... And Splinter Cell, he created, like, the Sam Fisher and all that. But because those games aren't single-player or story-focused anymore, they especially have nothing to do with him anymore. It's literally just the name on the box. He has had no involvement with, like, Rainbow Six Vegas or any of that stuff. Or Hawks, the flight game, like... or End War, like any of these random games that have his name on them.
Howard, have you heard of any of these?
Oh, I've heard of all of them.
Okay. These are some prime, like 2009 to 2011 era dumb military.
How do you forget Hawks? That's the song that Korn did. The Korn did a song for them.
They did do a song for them.
Yeah.
What?
Do you not remember that?
No.
They did a song for Hawks, and they would like talk about how much they love the game.
No. I don't remember this at all.
Yeah, you should remember this. It's Korn.
Okay.
End War was like, what, the RTS?
Yeah, it's like an RTS.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I get they want to make, you know, stuff that appeals to modern games, but you could still throw in like a fun single-player game that didn't cost too much to make, you know, throw it in here and there. Or games that are maybe trying to be a little bit more tactical or realistic. It just kind of sucks because the whole entire point of why he wanted to make games was to make games like that. And yeah, I know it doesn't really matter. It's some dumb boomer crap that's old, but it kind of speaks to how Ubisoft treats most of its game franchises in a very homogenized way where they all kind of have to feel the same. And most of the creativity's kind of just been sucked out of them. Assassin's Creed, similar. Same thing with, you know, Watch Dogs, stuff like that.
Yeah, there is... I
this
wouldn't
is more of
say
a
boomer.
Ubisoft complaint than it is a Tom Clancy
Yeah,
video.
because I do think... it is kind of sad that we've hit a point where Tom Clancy he's passed away.
Yeah.
And not only are they using his name for money, they're using his name in order to create these like gentrified, like very homogenized games that just rip off whatever's popular anyway.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad, right? To a degree.
I mean,
Like, do the Clancy estate even like have any input on any of this, or
no? They fully bought the Tom Clancy name back in like 2000.
How do you buy a dude's name?
Yeah, they bought his name, but the rights of having his name on like the game
That seems
he
very
doesn't have
weird.
any input. In fact, actually, I think Ubisoft are the ones who did that because back in the day, all the old games didn't used to be Ubisoft. They used to be Red Storm Interactive, and like I think they just self-published, and then Ubisoft bought them up, and like a year or two later, maybe it might have been a few more, like around 2006, they got total control of the brand, so that way they could make really whatever they wanted, and it didn't matter what input he might have wanted.
yeah.
And granted, he wasn't like the best author ever. A lot of his stuff's very right-wing, jingoistic war stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's still like the guy's name. Like it's still like, you know.
Tom Clancy's Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, no, literally, that we're at that point where Ubisoft
Yeah.
can literally do that, and there's nothing that we can do or
Yeah.
say. They can. The next Assassin's Creed could literally be Tom Clancy's Assassin's Creed, and like we can't
takes
do anything.
place in the caveman era and has nothing to do with guns or military stuff at all.
Yeah, like I don't know.
That or they retconned Sam Fisher into being Assassin's Creed.
Well, I mean, they retconned Sam Fisher to be in Rainbow Six Siege.
They did.
And Ghost Recon. Though that was kind of a cool little guest appearance because they actually brought back Michael Ironside to do his voice.
Oh, did they?
Was that
Yeah, it
was
was-
that in one of the million recons that came out like in the past 5 years?
That was in Ghost Recon Wildlands as like a free DLC event mission.
Okay.
And he's basically just a support character, but he has a little cutscene where he talks, and they brought Michael Ironside back, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like people miss the old characters, the old fun kind of espionage stuff, and yeah, they just don't really make games like that anymore.
They really don't.
Back in my day.
Well, people have been wanting a Splinter Cell forever
Yeah,
now.
just a fun single player game.
It's
but
been almost a decade since the last Splinter Cell.
Ubisoft's commented saying that they are making one, but it's not going to be like a regular single play. It's going to be like a live
So the
service
exact
or-
opposite of what everyone
Yeah,
wants.
it's going to be like probably, if it's not open world, it's like an MGS5 ripoff or something. It's probably going to be like a mission-based multiplayer co-op thing.
Oh no.
I never even got into Splinter Cell, but even I know that's a bad thing.
It's probably not going to have Michael Well, I mean, granted, Michael Ironside's getting a little up there in age, but probably not going to have him back, and he was sort of the main selling point for the character, why people liked him. Because it was just the voice performance. That's
I mean, yeah, Michael Ironside's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and wait, hold on. I just realized something. Rainbow Six Siege is already a Tom Clancy hero shooter. They're making another one?
Yeah. At least Siege is like, gameplay-wise, it's kind of tactical. It's
Yeah,
way
yeah.
more than most
But
games,
it's still technically,
I mean, technically, yeah.
genre-wise.
But it's not as much of like an arena, like funky music and colors and running
That's
around.
like something like Overwatch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is more like the award-winning game Rage 2.
And it's just like weird because if they want to make that type of game, then fine. But the name brand just feels weird because that name doesn't sell anymore. I feel like to like, especially like kids or like people like more our age. Like if you're not into that kind of weird military stuff, it's just sort of like a weird name. Like, oh, why would I play this over Overwatch or Star Wars or something fun
Yeah,
and
exactly.
lively? You know,
Yeah.
like I can't imagine some 16-year-old going into a GameStop being like, yeah, I want to play that one with some random dude's name on it. You know, like.
Yeah, because you don't see people going like, oh man, the Tom Clancy brand. It's like, okay, there, Jethro. It's what it's like. It's like when Activision just made like literally any skateboard game and slapped Tony Hawk on it,
Yeah.
and then like after a while, people just went, I don't care.
Yeah.
So when do you think that breaking point's going to happen when people are just genuinely like, I don't care about Tom Clancy to the point where it just burns out and
If
dies?
not X Defiance, probably the next big game they make.
Because Siege is still doing really well.
And the Division did really well, Division 2. And ironically enough, COVID actually did a lot to help it. Because once COVID happened, a lot of people went and played Division 2.
Really?
Because
Wow.
it's about a disease-stricken world and that. It's like post-apocalyptic kind of.
Yeah.
So a lot of people played that more for the novelty of it because of the timeliness, I guess.
Yeah.
But, so yeah, they still make a lot of money. I think it's only going to be a breaking point once they make their next big game and it doesn't do as well.
Yeah.
If people decide not to play it, then yeah, they probably have to relax it a bit. But yeah, I just kind of wish they would take the name off and just make it its own, like Division. Like that has nothing to do with Tom Clancy.
Yeah,
He
no.
never wrote it. Like just call it its own thing. Like it's.
But it's the thing that it's all marketing. Like if Tom Clancy's name isn't on it, it probably won't make as much money.
Maybe, but that's the thing. Like, how long is it going to be until it reverses the other way and people will get weirded out by the names? Like, well, who is this? Like, I'm not.
Maybe.
Yeah, like
'Cause he hasn't been relevant for decades.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
people haven't read his books or anything
Like-
for a while.
if we have a Ghost Recon sequel, then like yeah, I expect a Tom Clancy to be
Yeah.
slapped on there. But if it's something like this, where tonally it seems like nothing at all close to what his original visions were, to the point where people who are even fans of Ghost Recon go, "What is this game?" Like I don't think it'd work.
Yeah.
But
Probably not,
they
no.
still slap it on anyway. So we just need like a few more of those. And then like Tom Clancy's brand name means like it's basically worthless at that point.
Yeah, because I don't even know if it, like his family or like the estate even gets royalties anymore. I feel like they probably have to get something.
Yeah,
but
I would imagine.
they don't have any like input on the games at all. And he didn't after like 2006. So that's why the Rainbow Six Vegas games, as fun as they were very different than they're a lot more Michael Bay-ish than the older ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's sad. But it's it is what it is. Big companies are just going to kind of take games and take the creativity out of them. So
Yeah.
they're not the first ones to do it, but
It's just another example of why Ubisoft is poop.
Yeah.